Good evening, everyone. This is Static Pulse commentating for you tonight. Right now, we've got PeenTrain versus MBGenie. This is round, I guess, technically 2, perhaps 1.5. PeenTrain did have a bye. We'll get started here in just a minute. More like half a minute, actually. But who's counting? You like to both our runners. PeenTrain is a very well-known, very practiced speedrunner of the game. MBGenie is also a very good speedrunner of the game, so we'll see how things go tonight. And we are off to the races. So for anyone who is just coming in, this is a Boogey percent speedrun of the Earthbound game. The goal is to defeat the Boogey tent and claim the jar of fly honey that it leaves behind. So time is actually when you pick up the honey from the trash can, not when you defeat the tent, which can come into play. Starting off, however, we'll be joining Ness at his house. Ness currently sleeping, unaware of the grand adventures that await him and his future friends. You do visit Lilliput Step, but only to Death Warp back to Tucson. You do not complete Lilliput Step. It's typically the same in speedruns as well, unless you are doing... what is it? Unless you are manipulating the game, which there's a separate category for that, for RNG manipulation. However, there is no manipulation tonight. We are doing some free-range Earthbound gaming. All natural here. Yep, we will be completing one sanctuary, that is Giant Step. It is mandatory to progress out of Onet. Here we have the initial hill climb. No enemies yet, but once we sleep for the night, we'll encounter up to 3 different enemies, potentially. We have the snake. Kind of blends into the background, so be careful not to step on it. We have the crow, who likes to steal your things, and is generally speedy and evasive. Then the dog. It's kind of annoying, but is worth 4 EXP and will level you up. Hoping not to encounter any of those enemies tonight. They're all fairly dangerous, as we do not grab King the Dog. But anything can happen. That's part of the fun of Boogey percent, is even against experienced runners, RNG is a heavy factor in how things play out. Can have some very tight races depending on how luck goes. Sometimes Earthbound is just mean. We'll be starting here in a second. At the very start of the game, we saw everyone grab something called the Cracked Bat. You must grab that item from Tracy's room and equip it before you are allowed to leave Ness's house for the second time. Congratulations to Ori for being completely average today. mandatory was the winner of the previous race, which just ended. Oh, so the game does allow you to leave eventually? I thought it was a mandatory, like, Boogey would continue to complain at you if you didn't equip it. But here we go. PeenTrain with... Oh, man, some dogs hanging out right in front of Ness's house. Man, MBGenie having a whole menagerie of animals out here tonight. So with enemy movement, we can do something called stuttering. If we get a snake and some other enemies, they only check for movement on certain frames, so you can lightly tap the directions on the arrow pad to avoid the enemy getting closer to you and sneak on past them. The dogs, however, will just charge at you. The birds, as you've seen, they fly in a swooping pattern. They have a tendency to get stuck on things. Ah, okay. I might, not during a race, but I might have to see that text next time. Always learning new things about Earthbound. Here we have some mandatory dialogue with our best bee, dung beetle, fly friend, Buzz Buzz. The upcoming boss fight is more or less completely on rails. You have no agency during the fight. All you can do is press buttons to make it go faster. That is the text. Whether the fight ends quickly or not is completely up to random chance. The Starman Jr. has 4 different attacks it can use. It can use Fire Beta, Fire Alpha, Freeze Alpha, or it can guard. Fires are the longest text-wise, Freeze being the second fastest, and guard being the fastest, having very little text. Buzz Buzz will use Psy Shield on the first and every other turn afterwards, while Buzz Buzz will attack and will be the one doing actual damage on every even turn. Buzz Buzz can do a light or strong hit. If you happen to have really bad luck and Buzz Buzz only does light attacks during the turns that Starman Jr. happens to be guarding, it can take quite a while to get out of the fight. Yes, in the Discord, I believe that specific fight where you can talk to a hieroglyph in the pyramid, for whatever reason, it doesn't have a close window script attached to it, for whatever reason. So you get thrown in the fight, but you still have the main menu, I guess you could say, open. Thankfully, it didn't seem to cause any major problems. We have PeenTrain exiting the fight a little earlier, getting a little luckier against the boss. Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing either. It was, I believe they were intending the menu to take a skip sandwich, but then instead talk to it, and then that caused the initiation of the fights. There are a couple of overworld enemies where you can check/talk to them to start the fight. Like, I assume you can talk to the robots to technically start the fight earlier. There's also the Shattered Men in the museum. I think that's happened to a couple people trying to check the hieroglyph, and you end up checking or talking to the Shattered Man and starting the fight. Yeah, I think the reason the menu was still open, someone mentioned that it just didn't, that the script to close the main. Okay, I seem to have things that seem to come back to life. So we have both of our runners at the arcade. Looks like some bad Pogo Punk RNG for both of our runners. Fairly low on HP. Yeah, it must have been some sort of Discord hiccup or some such. So we're going into the Frank fight here soon. It might be part of that AWS bridge. Not sure if it's necessarily affecting Discord itself, but maybe some sort of knock-on effects from that. But back to the game, we're going into Frank. Frank, the first actual boss fight, can be pretty dangerous. You need to, generally speaking, you want to heal every time you take damage in the fight, simply because there's a rolling HP mechanic, as you've seen throughout the game. When you're 22 HP or above, it's fairly... I don't want to say necessarily... It's fairly reliable to mash out a heal, but as you see, we have like 46 HP. Frank can do up to... can do in the mid-20s of damage, so... when you're losing half your HP, and even if you're only taking 10 HP damage, if you get below that 22 mark, you can mash out a 21, maybe even 20 if you're extremely lucky, but once you get below that, you're not going to be able to survive. See, like this 19 that Frank does a big hit on MBGenie, that would have been a KO, but thankfully not. Unfortunately, otherwise getting bad RNG here, getting misses. Getting nice brandished. Last heal. PeenTrain out of both fights. Nothing MBGenie can do but fight. Hey, and he gets out of the Frank fight. So, luckily, after you beat Frank, you get a level up, and you get enough PP to get up to 5, which means you have 1 PSI heal, or life up, I should say. Healing is a completely other PSI ability here. So Frankenstein here will do either a weak hit or a strong hit every other turn. Yep. But that'll be enough to save them, so we just gotta bash and pray. 32, that's not good. Hoping for a weak hit here. Got a weak hit. We only got 2 more turns left. Maybe we'll get... yes. MBGenie is through. PeenTrain also through, going up to the mayor to get per cabin key. Quite a bit of excitement here on the Frank fights, but thankfully no KOs. Yeah, Frankenstein, or Frankenstein, is typically not a big deal, but if you've had really bad luck on Frank and you don't have any heals, then you're really just at the mercy of Ness hitting his attacks and Ness also not getting pummeled. Unfortunately, I know all too well. So once we defeated Frank and grab the key, we do our burger shopping in anticipation for the big ant himself, as well as heading to the giant step for our first and only actual grind in the game. So we need to get to level 8. The next boss has 2 funkies that always use Life Up Alpha. So... excuse me. So ideally, we'll use our AoE move, or PSI Rocking that we learned at level 8 to take them all out on the first turn and not have to deal with any Life Up shenanigans. Although, during one race, I did see that Rocking did miss an ant, and that caused issues. So we need to defeat 22 slugs here to get up to level 8. Here we have 4 of them right here. PeenTrain on the way to level 8 already. There are a couple of different methods you can use to grind out the slugs. Typically you'll go to kind of the section after the first cave here on the bottom floor. There's a rock on the ground you can walk back and forth on that reliably spawns slugs on the left side. Take a couple packs of those and then you can head up to the top floor if you so wish, where you can take on a 6-pack of slugs and finish your grind right on the 22 mark. You can also be safer and just take a bunch of 4-packs at the bottom. You'll overshoot your level and have to take an extra fight, but it is safer. There are stronger enemies up top, namely the black antoids, which are real troublesome. That mouse was a little low, and we got some slugs going on, and then that slug grind out. So what are the slugs grinding today, chat? We got the slug grinding going on, so they gotta be grinding something. Grinding their teeth? That's not healthy. I hope they can get a good dentist to help them with that. Another bit of tech you can do is you can get a mouse cut up on the wall. That'll cut down on additional mice spawning in that area. More reliably get slugs. Pink peppercorn. I don't think I've ever seen or heard of a pink peppercorn before, but it sounds like an Earthbound thing. It can be a little tricky to stutter enemies here. There can be a lot of spawns off-screen, both on the top and bottom, which, if there are too many spawns around, it can lag the game and your stutters become less effective. A delicious version of pepper, very cool. Interesting. I might have to try that out if I ever see any at the local store. Honestly, the EV universe should have a lot of things. They don't even have burritos. I don't even think there's tacos in this game either. That's all they use in Moonset. PeenTrain heading up, trying to find a 6-pack to finish their her slug grind on. Not getting good luck so far, but yeah, not unfortunately this is part of the Earthbound RNG where sometimes things just kind of don't work out. We see 4. Okay, there was some off screen, so we got a nice pack of slugs here. I was a little worried only seeing 4 of them on screen. Could have been some black Antoids in disguise. Yeah, depending on how slugs spawn for you, whether you despawn some or you got some earlier on the bottom floor, maybe they were like split up by the different levels. You can end up at an odd EXP point. Sometimes you can KO a mouse or something to get that EXP. Oh no! PeenTrain got caught from behind by an ant. The black Antoid, as you can see, hurts a lot more than than a slug. They can also life up, they can also call for help. Things can get out of hand pretty quick. They also drop cookies just to waste your time even more. Oh, okay, slugs. Sometimes slugs can a slug and an Antoid is and one slug and one Antoid is a common pack as well. I don't know about common, but they can be a pack that appears together. Yeah, the Antoid didn't do anything terribly dangerous. Thankfully. And now we have WoW Alpha. MBGenie also hitting level 8, doing the more consistent but slower grind on the bottom floor. Don't have to. The advantage of grinding on the bottom floor is while it is slower, you do have access to Rockin' on your way up. So if you do happen to run into Antoids, if they get out of hand, you can just Rockin' them and you're typically good to go. Ants are pretty slow, so the miss chance on Rockin' isn't very high. Don't actually know what it is, but you can usually in encounter with just one cast. I mean, had a butterfly right outside. PeenTrain carefully stepping around the ants. If you have enough offense, you can instant win against single Antoids. I don't know what the chances are that you have 24 or more offense at this point, but oh no! MBGenie gets caught from behind by another ant. PeenTrain in battle with the big ant itself. Unfortunately, gets a low roll 49 on the ant. Low HP, gonna have to double burger. Antoid, however, coming out with the big hits. MBGenie, unfortunately, unable to stutter past the black Antoids. Alright, no. Yep. Oh, nice smash to get rid of that shield. Titanic Ant has a number of moves it can do. It can drain your PP with magnet. Oh, thank goodness that wasn't a red. It can drain your PP with magnet. It can do defense down alpha, which is mostly whatever. It can shield up and reduce your physical damage. It can also do a weak and strong hit, and can also critical you with the smash. While PeenTrain gets out, MBGenie gets in. A solid 112 damage on the ants. Uh-oh, use the ATM card. Gotta be careful. Thankfully, Life Up does a lot of healing, so we can get up to full really quickly. 62 on Ant. Ant has, I think, 240 HP. Adamant. Another bash or two, and I think MBGenie's got it. Oh, just missed. Oh, another miss. You got more burgers, MBGenie. I think. Yeah, you got 2 more. Oh, bunch of shield alphas, but I can't stop the MBGenie, ending it with a smash. MBGenie getting out of the fight. Yeah, Onet is rough. Whether you're good or whether you're experienced or a newbie, RNG is the same. RNG doesn't care. It can be good, it can be bad. PeenTrain going right for the police fight. She must have a good amount of burgers, or is otherwise hoping to extend the lead on MBGenie by not shopping for additional burgers at this time. MBGenie, I imagine, will go buy more burgers. Having only 1 burger left is pretty risky going into the cop gauntlet. We have to fight 4 cops and their boss, Captain Strong. The cops, their only attacks are a weak hit and a strong hit, so they'll always be doing damage. They can also drop burgers at a 1 in 8 rate. At a rate of 1 in 8. There we go. I've had enough bad cops that I don't try and do burgerless cops unless I have a good amount of burgers going in. I don't necessarily need a full inventory, but I mean 4 or 5 is at least my minimum. But I'm also not an amazing runner. PeenTrain making her way through the cop gauntlet. I think that might have been the second to last burger. 33, 14. Almost hit the... Oh, that was... Nope, that was right at... Alright, 1 cop and 1 strong to go. Typically, we'll try and save at least 20 PP for Captain Strong, so we can double rockin' him down. With only 140 HP, 2 rockins is typically enough. $76 is a good amount of HP going into Strong. Strong can do around 50 HP of damage with the nuclear suplex attack. MBGenie is starting their cop gauntlet, having gotten a fresh plate of sliders. Captain Strong up. PeenTrain going for the life up. Oh, did not work on Captain Strong. Are we going to bash out the 140 HP? We might just do that. Looks like that's where we're going. Captain Strong defending. Yes, missing. Captain Strong getting angry. Oh, that's a smash. But we have enough time to get a heal out. But that's all we got. Time to auto. But Captain Strong goes down. And with a sub 29, PeenTrain is out of Onet. Man, that was a rough Strong. MBGenie with the crit to finish off the cop. Now level 10. Healing Alpha, not very useful, but we have some more stats. Oh, that's a smash, 44. PeenTrain is on her way to Tucson. It's a bit sketchy with that. Right in the middle there's a little... Ooh. Hamburger, picking up hamburger. We do need one food item to give Apple Kid. We'll hopefully not have any ninja shrooms. PeenTrain deciding to despawn the shroom. And gets through just fine. MBGenie down to 8 HP, but manages to get back up. I think they're going into strong with 77. That's a good number. Let's see how it works. Let's see some strong rockins. Coming out with a bash, but it's a miss. That's fine. Oh, that's a strong hit. Gonna have to hope that Captain Strong does nothing this turn, otherwise, yes. MBGenie hanging in there. Miss for Strong. Oh no. But Captain Strong was defeated. Okay. Whew. There's some scary Strongs. Onat's coming out with hands. But our racers make it through without any deaths. Hippie sighting. Too many. Too many smashes. Been an exciting match so far. MBGenie now on his way to Tucson. Yeah, I didn't notice the burger drop either. I thought you were at 0. MBGenie picking up the burger himself. Can be a little scary getting down near these trees. Mushrooms and all sorts of other things can be... Actually, I guess just mushrooms in that area, but they can be hiding. Oh, there's an ant. These ants are aggressive. You don't want to fight ants with a mushroom either, especially since you're likely low on PP at this point. PeenTrain on their way to view a lovely pencil statue in the valley. Hopefully we won't have any rogue UFOs this time. And the pencil is observed with no incident. UFOs are probably the most dangerous enemy in the Peaceful Rest Valley. They are fast, they do good damage. These are fast, they're hard to run away from, and they're also hard to hit with rockin' and dashes. There's one enemy you don't want to fight, it's them. There are other similarly dangerous enemies, but they're not as fast, so it's more likely to fight them and or run away. MBGenie now on his way to observe a fine pencil statue. Man, that's a lot of mushrooms. Camp and spawn. They just keep coming. Let's just hang out in the cave for a little bit while they go away. Nope, nope. Additionally, if you see a butterfly, most of our runners will try and grab one, like we've seen them both do. After strong, typically you've used most, if not all, of your PP. So getting a butterfly is very helpful in both for topping off your HP, but also for, just in case you run into an encounter. PRV has a couple of spots where there's a high frequency of butterfly spawns, but ideally you get one in Tucson at that kind of middle section between the cave and the Tucson town proper. MBGenie has observed the pencil, meanwhile PeenTrain has gotten a devastating device that will erase pencils from existence. And so PeenTrain will be on her way to Happy Happy Village to sort out this blue nonsense. And MBGenie will be on his way shortly. Yeah, we've seen a lot of mushrooms today. PeenTrain and MBGenie right in the same spot, high-fiving as they enter and exit the cave, respectively. We shall see how PRV goes for PeenTrain. The terrain is narrow, it is easy to get pincered, there's plenty of spawn plates. I don't recall if PeenTrain picked up a skip sandwich or not. Skip sandwiches are a bit of a safety item. They increase Ness's overland speed, really can help get through pincers, particularly with the really fast alien-type enemies. Train having pretty good luck so far, not really running into anything. Oh, diamond right in the way. Got a tree blockade up here. Yeah, what a nice PRV for Peen. Just zoomed on through, very little in the way. Hopefully things go just as well for MBGenie. However, PeenTrain has stepped on Snake. They have lost an Ori point. Most unfortunate. So here in Happy Happy, we'll do some equipment shopping. We'll get a new bat as well as a new hat. And then go say hello to our good friend we never met, Paula. MBGenie also getting fairly good luck here in the valley. You might have noticed that both of our runners went up to that tree right there and then looked left. That helps avoid some spawn plates from triggering. We've also had some fun times with the crows out in front last race, but PeenTrain is able to get around the crows today. MBGenie able to get around the sprout there and is now into, well, almost into Happy Happy Village, but can they avoid Snake? They cannot. Unfortunately, our runners are now tied on Ori points. PeenTrain now in the cultist fight. The cultists can be pretty dangerous. They can call for help. They do good damage. 60 and 48 is not great numbers. Not really what you want to see. Oh, we got C. When I said it's not what you want to see, I didn't mean see you can show up and crash the party. I think cultists have around 90-ish HP. But, we make it through, no incidents. Yes, 94 HP. A high damage Rockin' will take him out in one hit, but Rockin' has a pretty low, again, really low ball. You also can't run from cultists, including those who fight in random encounters, so do your best to avoid them. PeenTrain picking up one banana. Now heading into the cult house. We have one more mandatory fight with the cultist. Hopefully it does not get out of hand. MBGenie now in the shack fight. We'll see how the shack fight goes for him. Let's see, big numbers. 86, good. 50, kind of whatever. Don't really care much about the crow, but it can steal any food you may have. PeenTrain making it through the solo cultists, no issues. Both cultists go down. It did not work on the crow. The crow stealing our burger. Very rude. And gives us a cookie back. Still useful, potentially, on Carpainter. We want to be at low HP after the Carpainter fight, so we can Death Warp back to Tucson. Not necessarily a bad trade. I've definitely seen a lot more cultists on the overworld for both of our runners today than I typically see. Spawn plates in this cave aren't very high. Oh. For the Carpainter fights, it's fairly scripted. Carpainter will always use the Thunder Crash and Boom Bang attack on the first and every third turn afterwards. On the second and every 3 turns after that, we'll either heal and or Psychic Shield in that order, and then on the third turn we'll do a physical attack. Thankfully, Carpainter cannot crit. And PeenTrain is through the Carpainter fight. Yep, but only food items can be stolen, so you don't have to worry too much about, say, your equipment being stolen, but there are some good food items you may have in your bag. Not necessarily for the speed run, but for a casual run if you have, like, brain food lunches and stuff. If you have a robot octopus steal some from you, that's not great. MBGenie through their solo cultist fight. No issues. We've taken on the big Carpainter himself. Although I don't see any cars in Happy Happy Village, so perhaps he should have been called Cowpainter. So the Crashing Booming attack, each cast of Thunder has a 25% chance to hit. This number actually increases by 25% to hit anyone in battle per additional enemy on the field. So when you're at 4 enemies, it's guaranteed Thunder is guaranteed to hit someone on that side of the field, even if enemies are defeated in the middle of the attack. On the other hand, the crow could steal that broken spray can. That is if you didn't immediately throw it out. PeenTrain going for the Death Warp here. Let's see if this is a mole playing nice or a mole playing rough. I'm hoping for a rough mole here. Oh, just missed. Oh, so another thing that comes up, smashers don't actually cure feeling strange, aka confusion. It, for whatever reason, completely bypasses that little mechanic. Also, interestingly, only bashes can cure feeling strange if you have a shoot type command from, like, say, a yo-yo or a gun. Those don't cure feeling strange. And both kids are KO'd on PeenTrain's side. She will now do the Tucson loop, go revive Paula, go talk to Paula's dad, go get the $10K, grab the backstage pass, likely on the way down to see Paula's father, and then go see a show. MBGenie will be on his way to perform the death warp. Additionally, we also don't want to run into any enemies in Tucson, or spawn chances are very low, so it's unlikely, but if you happen to get ambushed by an enemy like right outside the hospital for whatever reason, Paula can easily get re-KO'd, and don't want that to happen. I'm all playing fake. This is the third miss in the round. Come on, Mole. So, technically, ideally, we would like to see Ness go down first, just because Paula can bash the mole safely in case it confuses itself, but thankfully, it eventually decided to be rough and not nice. Well, MBGenie, seeing that they need a little bit more money to revive Paula. You need $100 to check someone out of the hospital, so make sure you grab the money before you leave. Yeah, I don't know. You think it'd be easy to hit Ness because his speed is atrocious, but I don't know. At least for me, it seems the mole likes to miss me a fair amount of time. Mole with skill issues. Alright, on PeenTrain side, we have the first of several kind of breakpoints in the game. We have a Runaway 5 show to view. So, get ready to hang out for a moment and enjoy the cool jams. I see that enemy up there on MBGenie side. MBGenie not far behind PeenTrain. Still anyone's game. A lot of RNG can happen between now and grabbing the fly honey. As one show ends, another begins. we got a doubleheader tonight, folks. 2 Runaway 5 shows back to back. And on PeenTrain side, we have a shortcut scene as we enter the read. There's been some interesting luck. Thankfully, there has been no KOs so far on either side. Just a lot of overworld enemies, a lot of nonsense in the fights themselves, but both runners do an excellent job rolling with the punches. But the RNG can still have hands. There's still some amount of game left. And the Big Ten himself still at the end. There's been plenty of lead changes at the tent, so it isn't over until that jar of fly honey is picked up. Upcoming for PeenTrain and MBGenie soon after is the Graveyard. Graveyard is a fairly short walk, but it's full of ghosts and trash cans and flies. Sometimes there's nothing there, sometimes you get all the spawns, so we'll see what happens with PeenTrain. Ideally, we'll get anything but a ghost. The ghosts are pretty annoying, they're very fast. They can possess you. They can just be annoying. We have left side bus. On the MBGenie side. And PeenTrain has a fairly empty graveyard. Very good. Oh no, there's a fly hidden in the trees. And the no good fly goes down. This will give Paula enough levels, I think enough to learn PSI Fire. This can be helpful against the tent, who is extremely resistant to freeze and vulnerable to fire. So it can be useful in circumstances where you need additional damage to finish off the tent. I apologize for cursing the graveyard run for PeenTrain after I said it was all clear to go. Hopefully there won't be any sneaky flies on MBGenie's side. After all that, we decided to check out this hotel. A bunch of ghosts and zombies spook us, and we get thrown in a cave. But we got spawns on the way on MBGenie's side. PeenTrain was lucky enough that there was only a singular puppet, which attacks you, which only goes after you if you get close to it. MBGenie gets to the zombies without any issue. And looks like it might be clear on the way out as well. Clean graveyard for MBGenie will be on his way to the Jeff portion of our journey. PeenTrain now starting up the Jeff journey herself. A couple things we need to do in the boarding school. We need to get a key that doesn't work, and then get a key machine that does work to grab pop gun and a nice hat, and then leave the boarding school to go save our friends. So we'll open this bottom left locker here for a hat, the upper right locker here for the pop gun. Equip both things and be on our way. We'll grab a nice monkey who's never betrayed us before and head on south to Lake Tessie to go see Tessie, the magnificent beast. PeenTrain's menuing is extremely good. As someone who, I think, runs the game multiple times every day, she has a lot of experience in Earthbound menuing, which is actually pretty difficult because it's, oh, we got the green dog. Do we get the food item though? No, we do not. So the funny thing with Jeff here, and well, actually, anytime you don't have Ness as the leader, I don't know if that also includes when he's a ghost. But there is some jank with how the game detects back attacks, since it tries to use Ness's position, but obviously Ness isn't with us. So there is some weirdness with how it calculates that when you're without Ness, and you can get some very funny green swirls. Unfortunately, we get no bread roll. We had a 50-50 shot at a bread roll, and not lucky. Alright, everyone, you can get your Tessie emotes out for our lovely friend on screen here. Remember to stretch and stay hydrated. We're an hour in. Not much more of the game left to go. RNG willing. Oh, we got another dog on MBGenie side. Will we get another green? Unfortunately, we do not get the green. But they get the bread roll. It's nice to have a secondary healing item as Jeff. It's pretty easy to go through your first one on some of the near mandatory fights in the upcoming dungeon. On the subject of menuing, for whatever reason, Earthbound, at least in this release in the Japanese version, I think it's much less laggy. But for whatever reason, it's laggier in this version of the game, for whatever reason. So it can be a little difficult to menu. Unfortunately, was not able to skip the hardest fight in the game. Also, we have another Tessie sighting. Please get your Tessie emotes out. Again, everyone. Because the English text is variable width and it's implemented very inefficiently. Good to know. PeenTrain now having 2 worthless protoplasms on screen. We'll be using a healing item to make it through the fight. As we're noting, you can run from these protoplasms. I think you have to I think it takes a couple rounds before you are able to run. Your run chance increases by 10 for each round you're in combat, but it can start in the negatives if you're particularly slow. And PeenTrain escapes the first encounter, unfortunately having to burn one healing item. But now will we see a duck skip? It looks like we're in a good position to do so. Sometimes the duck can get hung up on the wall here. MBGenie not far behind. Can't take too long to do the skip. Oh, just barely doesn't make it past the duck. So the duck here can be very rude. They have a lot of things that can waste its own time. It can also smash you. It's happened to me twice. It's something you don't forget, but thankfully it missed all its attacks. PeenTrain gonna pick up the croissant here. MBGenie in a bit of a pickle here with only 13 HP. Unfortunately, PeenTrain does not get the third skip because of Bubble Monkey Betrayal. But we've got enough levels now that it shouldn't be too bad as far as getting through the fight. Assuming Jeff doesn't keep missing. MBGenie now on Worthless Protoplasm C. Probably just want to run away now, yes. And MBGenie gets away. PeenTrain having now made it through the dungeon, now looking to escape. Unfortunately, MBGenie does not escape the duck. Duck missing a lot of these eye packs, at least. PeenTrain having a pretty clean first section here of the Pond Cave. We'll see how the remaining sections go. Starting through this first room is a bit tricky, just because, as we've seen there, the mushroom can spawn. But if you're really, really good at stuttering, you can do it. You can also stutter here, but there can also be enemies on the other side of this little gap, but there are none. PeenTrain makes it through. MBGenie also having to take the second proto fight makes it through no issues. Yeah, I've tried stuttering that second section in the second room a couple times, and both times I've been flanked by 3 slugs on both sides. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And if there's a mushroom in your way, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. The mushrooms are by far the most dangerous enemy here. You do not want to fight them if you can help it. They can't mushroomize you, but they do a lot of damage. And MBGenie gets just an entire clean room 2. PeenTrain's still trying to stutter. The room 3, our racers are synced up. Oh man, this is going to be a close one, folks. Who can get the spawn RNG first? PeenTrain makes it. MBGenie still with the bad luck. Oh, MBGenie is through. Oh, yep. Gotta be careful of Bubble Monkey there. He'll slingshot way over. Oh boy, this is gonna be an interesting end, folks. But there's no spawns at the top. No spawns at the top. PeenTrain is through the cave. Who are you talking to? I don't know. I'm talking to chat. I don't know about you. It's super close, folks. It can still anyone's game. And then MBGenie has no spawns at the top. PeenTrain through the boys. There isn't much difference between our runners now, folks. It's all going to come down to the tent. And maybe if MBGenie has really, really bad luck and gets tagged by a boy. But MBGenie is through. So PeenTrain does have levels on Paula. Paula's level, I think 5, maybe 4. I don't think MBGenie's Paula has leveled. So PeenTrain might have the level text advantage, but it all comes down to how big Jeff's rocket is. Ooh. We're not far behind. They're really close, folks. Oh man, there was a lot of despawning the third room for PeenTrain, and MBGenie just waltzed right on through Pond Cave. Got right back up. Thankfully, it wasn't any fight RNG, just spawn RNG. It's a neck and neck, folks. I don't think there's going to be any safety bears tonight. It's do or die. Minutes away from a finish here. Yeah, this must be kind of rough for our runners, having this whole cutscene to get amped up. Alright, PeenTrain crash lands at 107.29. Oh, it seems like MBGenie's timer has stopped. We'll have to rely on... Oh no, caught up. Let's see. PeenTrain crashed at 29, and MBGenie crashes at 48? They're like 20 seconds apart. So... Does MBGenie get the tech skip? PeenTrain got it. MBGenie gets it as well. PeenTrain eats a skip sandwich. Racing on down. But we get some bad spawns. We do not. PeenTrain is at the tent. Alright, Jeff, let's see what you got. How big is your rocket today? Don't run away. That would be pretty bad. But Jeff couldn't move. Yes, takes a hit. Jeff fires a rocket, 596. That's an instant knockout. PeenTrain is gonna finish here soon. GG's. MBGenie 362. Also going with a rocket of 99. About 100 left or so. Bottle rocket. Flash Alpha, this could be bad if someone gets confused, but no one does. Bottle rocket, then is down. This was really close, folks. PeenTrain finishing with a race time duty time of 1:09:37. A woos in chat. Thank you, dog. MBGenie not going to be far behind. At a slightly worse tent. There's the fly, honey. MBGenie finishes with a time of 1:10:15. Not even a minute difference between our runners tonight. Very close race. Well played, everyone. So congratulations to our runners. I believe there's another race coming up at 10 p.m. tonight, so in about 23 minutes, if not sooner. We did start a little earlier. Yep, as El Temple says, next race is in about 20 minutes, so I will hop off while all of that gets set up. Small intermission, don't go anywhere. We'll have another close race, I can feel it. I will be signing off of comms. I believe you have Pebble Possum and Dark Alexander coming up for comms, so give all your energy to our runner, our up-and-coming runners, Oxwus and Jossum. Our commentators, Pebble Possum and Dark Alexander. I'm out, so good night, everyone. Have a good evening. And hope to see you for the next race.